This is the Ring of Honor, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy.
This is Mr. Anderson.
This is good old JR Jim Ross, and you are listening.
You're listening to Knockouts and 3 Counts.
Cover! We got a new world champion!
That might be one of the craziest knockouts I've ever seen in my life.
Knockouts and 3 Counts is the podcast, baby! It's the real deal, baby!
Knockouts and 3 Counts starts now.
Woo! What up, though? It is another Tuesday. I have survived another day at the post office, thank God. And, man, we've got some big news that we're going to be having to drop this week. I don't know, come this Thursday, huh?
Yeah, sounds like a good day for it.
So, all of y'all that are watching, if you're new here, we appreciate you. Hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of it. Hit that like button, the share button, all them buttons. But you got to make sure that you check us out this Thursday. Because like I said, we've got some big news to drop. And somebody told me some of the names that might be coming on the show soon. And I'm just telling you, you're not going to want to miss this. You know, anybody a fan of the Kogars in here? I don't know. But like I said, make sure you guys check us out. What's good in your neck of the woods, motherfuckers?
You know, man. Living the dream, as they say.
Yeah, you know exactly how it goes, man. Trying to push it through the week, you know, make
all
it.
A dream, dude. It's all a dream.
Always chase.
I used to read Word Up magazine.
Blackberry shit. Yeah. Got Biggie Smalls on the record, man. Let's go.
What up, though? What up, though? Man, like I said, we have a lot to talk about. Like I said, make sure you guys are checking us out this Thursday. But man, before we get to Thursday, there was a lot of stuff to talk about from this past weekend. If you guys are tuning in, let us know in the comments. What were you guys watching? Did you watch UFC Vegas? You know, what did you think of that? Shout out to our guy, Jamal Sweet Dreams Hill, getting a big dub over Thiago Santos. I mean, you had last week's guest, Sam Alvey, going out on his shield like a G. But, I mean, hopefully, shout out to Sam Alvey. Hopefully, speedy recovery, all that good stuff. But, I mean, dude, that was the first card since 2014 in which it was all finishes.
Mm-hmm. Only the second one in the modern era, to really put it in context. Like, it's one thing to say, like, yeah, the second one since 14, which sounds like, you know, that's a long time, almost 10 years, and they run cards nearly every weekend. So think about how many events that really is that have taken place. But
right.
When you think about the fact that that's the second one since they've been in this current iteration of, you know, the UFC, that's been a long journey. You know, like all these other, you know, full finish nights and stuff. I was listening to it, I believe, on the Weighing In podcast. They were talking about it. All of those events were like UFC 1, UFC 3, 5, and stuff like that, where it was like still in the infancy. And of course, a lot of those fights are going to be finishes because the sport's still in such of infant level.
Well, and the big difference now is like we're, like you said, it was in the infancy and it was, you know, like the master of Sambo versus a boxer versus
exactly.
Muay Thai
a sumo
guy
wrestler versus a high level kickboxer that kicks his teeth out, you know.
Yeah, man. And it's crazy when you think about it in that sense, because, you know, you had guys that were really only good at like one discipline. Now,
wrestling shoes, one boxing glove, you know, like we've seen it all back in the day.
Art Jimerson,
the classic one boxing glove.
I remember watching that and I'm just like, wait a minute.
Gotta be able to grapple and
you sure you want to do that?
And he put it on his front hand.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, it was wild. We've come a long ways. UFC Vegas 59 went down. We also had PFL that went down. I'm sure Cory's going to talk about that in Cory's Corner and all that. But, yeah, dude, what were your guys' overall thoughts on UFC Vegas?
very interesting event, right? Like I had lost track of the fact that they were all finishes. I think they were doing their best not to jinx it and bring it up during the broadcast and stuff, because that is a historic thing for sure. And once you're leading into that main event, to not even really speak on it was definitely a choice by the broadcast team. But I had lost track of the fact that it was all finishes, and then looking back on the night, I was like, oh, I guess there really was some, fairly good performances, and I feel like it's this reoccurring theme, right? Where even a hardcore like myself will say, yeah, this card's not going to get the fanfare that this will and this should, and yada yada, all that type of stuff. But clearly, this is another example of why these cards that maybe nobody's watching, quote unquote, people need to pay attention to, because that's the type of, UFC matchmaking and the way the roster, we were talking to the depth of the roster before the show. And the way it's so deep, man, there's literally so much talent to be able to be showcased that sometimes you're not going to be familiar with a lot of these guys. But once you get a chance to actually see their performances, you'll be like, oh, maybe I should be paying attention to, the Terrence McKinney's of the world, the Cory McKenna's of the world, and stuff like that. Like, there was plenty of stellar performances on the night, man.
You're not kidding, dude. Like, it was, like you said, it was all finishes from top to bottom. J-Bone, what were your favorite fights on the night?
Dude, definitely the Jamal Hill fight for sure.
Yeah.
I was so looking forward to that fight. Between that fight and the Sam Alvey fight, man. Obviously, Alvey didn't have the outcome we wanted. That's all right. Man went out on a shield, but like I said, I was kind of busy that day. I had to go back and rewatch the card, man. But like Cory said, dude, like that's just the beauty of it, right? Like, we don't expect every fight every weekend, every card every weekend to be fireworks.
What up, though, Chris?
But like, sometimes you get these cards that are like, damn, like, I need to go back and watch again, because top to bottom, fireworks, man, and a finish in every fight on the card. You don't get that, like you guys just said. So you got to keep your eye on it, man. It's an evolving sport, and you just never know. The most unpredictable sport in the world. So,
what are your guys' thoughts? Go ahead.
If I'm going to list the three prospects, though, that I most would keep my eye off of coming off of this event, it would probably be
eye off of or eye on.
Off of.
You said eye off
this event.
Eye on coming off of. Eye on coming off of.
Oh,
yeah, he said.
I don't know what the hell I said. But either way, coming off
already,
of this event, the top three prospects that I, think coming off is got to be Brian Battle, Terrence McKinney, and then Jamal Hill. Man, Jamal Hill really. He's been getting everybody out in the first round. Even in his one loss in the UFC, it was a first round finish, the other way. But he had never really shown his, I don't want to say merit, right? Because you don't get to that level without showing some type of, level of, skill to get there. But knockouts and stuff like that, I feel like it's the lucky way out for a lot of these guys. Of course, it takes the skill and stuff like that to hurt these guys, but he really got tested. And Thiago Santos, man, he was relying on that wrestling pretty heavy, and you could tell it was gassing Jamal Hill a bit towards those later rounds. And they were both dog tired in that fourth round, but that was the type of stuff you love to see from a fighter, is the fact that he came in there, and the second he sensed that Santos was hurt, he immediately chased that finish. He got such a second wind behind him and was just immediately going to the ground and pound, immediately trying his best to finish the fight and not just hang out there,
Okay, so do you see him getting what do you see next, though? Do you think he's going to get a title shot like he wants, or do you think he's going to need to fight Jan or somebody else?
Well, like I had mentioned in our discussions before the show, the 205 division at the top right now is super crowded, right? Like, you got Jan making his stake for the title fight. You got Glover, who's probably, what it's seeming like at least, is the next actual contender for the belt again. It seems like that's the direction that they're taking it. Then you got who else? You got Ankalaev, who just came off that, kind of injury victory against Anthony Smith. Same type of deal with Jan. So I feel like those two would be a great matchup because of basically what happened in both of their fights. I feel like both of them were fairly evenly matched in the fight, and then their opponent got injured. So, of course, they're going to make a move up, but I don't feel like it should be immediate title bout, following that. So I feel like that would be a great matchup between those two. But even then, once you start to dig further, into the top 5 and stuff, Anthony Smith out on injury, Rakic out on injury, the two opponents I just mentioned, still injured, still dealing with it, especially Smith. He's going to be out for, probably 9 months or something. So honestly, the way the division is currently stacked out, it's really hard to say who he's going to end up matching up with. I personally feel like Jan would be the best fight in the top 5. I feel like that's the true,
I don't think Jan wants that fight.
You don't think Jan wants that fight? I feel like that.
Think about it. Jamal Hill's number 6. He's number what? Number 1 or number 2?
Yeah.
If he fights him, yeah, it's a good fight. But what if the number 6 guy comes in and beats you?
Yeah, but Jamal.
If I'm his manager,
he's also what, 5-1 or whatever in the UFC.
I'm not. Hey, bro, I'm not saying I don't want to see the fight. I'm not saying I don't want to see the fight, but I could also see,
And he makes great points though when he brings up the fact that if you look at the current bouts that are on tap in the current champ, even in his division, a lot of these guys are getting rushed to the top right now. Like if you look at the O'Malley's of the world and stuff, he took the immediate jump from the number 6, 7. Basically what Jamal Hill just fought in Thiago Santos, and is now immediately fighting.
What up, Doe? Keep them reactions coming.
You got Piera fighting Izzy next.
Yeah, that's an interesting fight.
He's only got what? This will be his 3rd fight in the UFC at this point. Jamal Hill's got double that.
True.
You look at the current champ in his division, Yuri Prohaska, same deal. He only had 2 fights.
That's who Jamal was calling out next. He said he wanted Yuri before he was champ.
And that's where I'm saying he makes some valid points that a lot of these contenders are, the next man up, even though they are, technically number 5 with only 2 fights or whatever the case be. They're still the ones getting these title bouts and stuff. So I feel like a number 1 contender fight against Jan, given the fact that his record is, the 5 or 6-1 in the UFC. I feel like that is, that's merited. I feel like it's legit.
I'd like to see that. That'd be a hell of a fight, I think, man. I'd love to see that.
Take the event over in the into Europe, where Jan's been calling for a fight for a while. I'm sure Hill would oblige it. And I feel like that'd be a great event. He could play a bit of the villain role over there. I feel like he's definitely got that. He's got that edge. That Michigan man edge. A lot of us do, but he definitely showcases it on his mic skills and even in his fights. So. Other than that, though, I feel like the likely fight that we end up seeing, to wrap my point up real quick, I feel like we end up probably seeing him versus Dominic Reyes. I feel like that's probably the next fight because Dominic Reyes
number 7.
I feel like Dominic Reyes is a higher level prospect to me than Thiago Santos is, and that's who he just beat. Rankings aside,
and I'm not arguing that, but I always felt like if you win and you're the lower guy on the rankings, then your next fight should be against somebody that's above you.
Well, Jamal Hill was the lower guy in the rankings coming into this fight.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So he moved up to number 6, so I feel like he should be fighting up.
Well, if that's the case, right? Can't you play the tic-tac role where you basically move up to move back 1, to move up to move back 1? I feel like that's the likeliest matchup with the current landscape at 205, unless we see Jamal Hill waiting it out till next year until maybe Rakic is available or something like that.
I doubt he's waiting, especially after getting a finish. But I mean, what a fight, though, dude. Because, I mean, Santos cracked his ass, too, a few times.
Yeah, you could see the swelling in his eye, man. Yet
Dude,
again,
his
goes back
knees,
to
his
like
elbows, his everything was all busted up. That man was giving it everything he had to get that dub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dog fight, dude. Good fight though. Good fight.
Hell yeah, it was.
And to still
There
get
was
the
a
finish, I mean.
Yeah.
There was definitely a reason. Like a lot of these main events end up getting the fight of the night bonus and stuff, not based on merit. Yet again, I keep, episode's going to be called merit at this point, but yet a lot of them get them because of the name value, and if they put on a fairly decent performance, even though maybe one of the prelim fights or the undercard on the main card was a better fight, they'll still give it to the main event because of the name value and stuff. This was not the case in this one. That was definitely like the standout fight. Both of these guys laid their heart out in there. You could see they were gassed as hell in that fourth round, and hell of a performance. And I honestly think Thiago Santos really showcased that he still belongs in that upper echelon of the division. I don't think he necessarily lost too much from this fight. Granted, it's a loss on his record, and he's probably going to have to take a step down both in rankings and opponent. I don't feel like he lost that much because of the performance that he did, go out there with.
Can't argue that. Like I said, I mean, big ups to both guys in that. What do you guys think about our new Ultimate Fighters? You got Juliana Miller and Muhammad Usman. What are your thoughts on those? I'm not going to lie, man. Like, I got to give Usman a lot of credit because not that I thought he would be bad by any means, but I've seen Zach Pauga in LFA, and dude looked like a monster on the show too. I mean, with how wild Usman usually is, I really thought that Zach might catch him, and dude, Usman knocked him clean the fuck out, dude.
Yeah.
It honestly felt the other way around. You talk about being wild and, kind of inconsistent with their striking. It felt like Pauga was really he was definitely respecting
Kathy coming in hot. He had an unimpressive first round.
Definitely. And that's what I was going to mention is I feel like Pauga was doing his best to win the fight but not take any punches. And in doing so, in lunging so far with trying to be out of range basically at all times, that's what ended up exposing him to that hook or, shovel punch or whatever you want to call that Muhammad Usman ended up putting him out with, because it really wasn't a full hook. He didn't turn into it. It was like when you heard the sound, like when you watched it, you were like, oh, he just got caught out of position, and then being that they're heavyweights, it hurt him. No, when you heard them play the sound back, you were like, no, that was a bomb that landed on him real quick. But,
no, dude, he laid that man out.
Yeah.
That being said, I feel like Pauga made some significant mistakes in over respecting the power that made him actually end up dealing with the power. He was too far out of range, was extending his punches too far. Even when he would hit, he would have to lunge and then would hit at full extension. I know you want to hit at full extension, but he had to lunge and then get the full, and bend for it and everything. I feel like Pauga, he did a good job to, win the round in the first round and stuff, but he left some holes exposed. I feel like if he wins another one or two, though, they may, whether it be contender series or just a short notice bout, bring him back in, because he did, to your point, look very impressive on all the fights on the show and stuff that I had seen. So,
like I say, and then Juliana Miller, I'm not gonna lie, man. I mean, even though they had Brogan as the underdog, man, I honestly thought off of watching those fights. I mean, dude, Juliana showed that she
Brogan was the favorite. Yeah, Brogan was the
not
favorite.
When I took it. I got her at plus 130 on DraftKings.
You took Brogan or Juliana?
I took Brogan,
and she was the
underdog
at that point, because everything I had seen, even I thought.
I'm gonna look at my DraftKings right now and see if I can see the odds. But if I'm not mistaken, I believe I got her at a plus 130.
Yeah, I could have swore they were saying how highly touted Brogan was basically to be able to beat her in this one with the odds and everything. But I may have been mistaken, because I know they had also mentioned that a lot of people were feeling like Juliana, to the point of a lot of the commenters from last week. She was plus
110.
+1. So basically a pick 'em fight at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I'm not saying it was like she was a big underdog, but I'm just saying I got her on the underdog, and I really thought she was gonna. I just from watching those fights, I thought she would outskill her, but dude, Juliana put it on her.
yeah, really, really did look truly impressive in doing it too. Like
She's
I
tough,
know a
dude.
lot of.
Yeah.
I know a lot of fight fans, especially the more casual ones, they'll complain about somebody taking somebody down and trying to control them and stuff. But she was not just trying to control; she was landing shots. She was, she had her both on the feet, and then would be able to outmuscle her in the corner and everything, and take her down, and basically at will. She really did look impressive against somebody that, from everything that the commentary team and everything basically that I had seen in the lead up to it was going against somebody who was supposed to significantly outskill her. She put on a really
She's just got that dog in her, bro. Like that's the thing. She really. I'll be honest. When the first couple episodes and hearing her talk, I didn't necessarily know if I bought that was her because she talked tough, like not in a shit talking way, but she talked tough. You know what I mean? But then when she got in there and fought like she did. Like, I mean, she gets in there and scraps, bro. And to put it on somebody like Brogan like that, I mean, she did work, dude. She did work. We got a topic we're gonna talk about here in a minute. We're gonna talk about our guy Sam Alvey real quick, obviously off of having him on the show last week, but we're gonna talk about Ultimate Fighters and who do we think some of the most impactful people were? If you guys have watched a lot of the Ultimate Fighter, let us know in the comments who some of your favorite winners were. But yeah, dude, it sucks things went the way they did for Sam Alvey. I don't know where we see him next, but dude, he went out on his shield.
Bear Boys. We see him in the Bear Boys next. That's what I'm thinking.
That's what I've been thinking too.
Yeah. Hey, I see that tweet. He called out Jake Paul in his tweet. He's not under contract anymore. What's up, man? Let's go. Let's do it.
What if Sam just goes in there and knocks him out, dude?
Oh, dude.
That would be hilarious. He did what Woodley could not. He did what Ben Askren could not. That would be great.
Hey,
but
Sam Alvey is like one of the most positive people you'll ever see. Like, go back and check that interview out. But I mean, he I don't know, man. All respect to Sam. Great guy. Definitely appreciate the time on the show. Obviously, things didn't go the way they did, and it just showed that his opponent's a killer. So, we're gonna have to see what is he thinking ridiculous. All right, let's see. Sam Alvey got to stop taking his kids to these things. Totally inappropriate to be bringing children to cage fighting.
I agree with that point. Every time I see these fighters that are like, yeah, I brought my 3-year-old, it's going to be their first time seeing me at a fight. And it's like, it's already one thing that's like traumatic enough when you got to go back to your kids with an injury and stuff and explain to them that, dad's okay and stuff. But, to have to do that because they literally just watched you eat a head kick and lose 2 teeth real quick or something like that, that's not the type of stuff you want to subject your kids to. I understand. Like, I've taken my kids to work, I've taken them with me to go do a garage door, and they're all like, infatuated with just the fact that I have tools going, But that being said, I feel like that type of stuff should be at least excluded until the kids are like +10, really teenagers. Like, I get like the Mini Bless thing, right? Like, Mini Bless took over for a while when Holloway was on top. Everybody loved Mini Bless. He was literally everybody's favorite, little guy basically out there in the fight world. And even then, I was like, I like the kid, but you could tell when he lost to Poirier, dude, like, that affected the little guy, like, legit. Like, he was crying for the fact that his dad was, unsuccessful and was eating punches for most of the fight. So, to your point, I missed who the commentator's name was, but yeah, I always kind of feel that way as well, and especially 6 kids and one of them being as young as 8 months old and stuff. I'm like, good luck, dude. You better win this, basically. And for Sam Alvey, Unfortunately, he didn't, because Smiling Sam's a hard guy not to root for. But yeah,
Right.
that was a tough fight to watch for sure.
I still stick to what I said. I think bare knuckle is the route with him. Like I said, I could see Sam getting in there and throwing hands for sure. But I think he needs to, sit back, evaluate, see what he's going to do. But, dude, he's got a whole farm he's got to take care of. I was looking at a video he had on his Instagram earlier, and this dude's got a turkey walking all around his dog. And, yeah, man, Sam's out there doing it country-like out there in Nashville. So go back and check out that interview with Sam. If you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like button, all the buttons. Make sure you share this, tell a friend, all that good stuff. But before we get off the subject of MMA, I mean, what are your thoughts on, since we're talking about the Ultimate Fighter, who do you think are some of the most impactful Ultimate Fighters of all time? And who are some of your favorites? And when I say most impactful, also keep in mind, who do you think, did the best job of being able to take out competition in the UFC as well?
If I'm gonna name three, I'm gonna name two that were most impactful and one that I think is currently running the game, so he has to be mentioned. Starting at three, I think you got to go Bisping. Bisping really changed the game, expanded MMA dramatically over in the UK and Europe in general, and still to this day has a huge following just because of all the amazing fights that he put on in the UFC. Number two, bit of a heart pick, but yet again, what he did in the first UFC and the fact that he was the first tough event and was able to go on and have the success and end up claiming the belt. Forrest, you got to put Forrest Griffin up there somewhere. He's like the legend on the tough, totem pole, at least for me. He had an amazing career, like I say, claimed the belt and everything. And that first fight between him and Shane, what's his last name? Who'd Forrest Whitaker fight in
Forrest Whitaker
or Forrest Griffin? Why did I say Whitaker? Griffin.
Stephan Bonner.
Yeah, Stephan Bonner. There we go. I knew it was on the tip of my tongue, but I'm just mixing up all kinds of names.
Forrest Whitaker's cool though.
Yeah, I'm mixing up all kinds of
Forrest
names.
Whitaker in a UFC cage would be nuts.
But you know what I'm talking about. They really expanded the game in general.
I know we're talking about Forrest Whitaker.
No, Griffin. But like I mentioned with Bisping expanding the game as much as he did over in Europe, I feel like that fight especially just really made the UFC explode.
Oh, dude, that was a fight that put them on the map because they beat the dog shit out of each other, man. That was
really,
a banger.
I guess you could put both of them up there because they both really ended up having pretty good careers. But I feel like Griffin, being the fact that he ended up claiming the belt and stuff, deserves the number 2 slot. Number 1, and I just got to do it because he's the current pound for pound, and has been putting on incredible performance after incredible performance, and really has just been leveling up his skills in every one of these fights for the most part. Kamaru Usman, he's got to go in my number 1 spot.
Yeah, how do you even argue? How do you even argue with that? Right? You can't argue with that. But hey, I like your list, man. But I'm gonna one up you with one. Nate Diaz, our beloved Nate Diaz, dude. Yeah. Look what he's done for the sport. Look at the upsets he's had, and look where he's at now. I mean, the dude has a legacy attached to his name, whether it's a UFC or whatever he's gonna do later on. But yeah, Nate Diaz, man. I mean, think about it. May not even know who Nate Diaz is these days if it wasn't for the Ultimate Fighter. So. But
Forrest Whitaker had some good movie performances over the years, but he would have done better in UFC throwing all that weight around. His ground and pound would be epic.
He would need his ground and pound though, with his eye, with the one eye.
Let me put this belly on you.
I love it, dude.
Pulling a big country Roy Nelson.
Yeah, about to say Fat Boy Roy, dude. Fat Boy Roy.
What's your list,
but he's an Ultimate Fighter winner, bro.
He is. You can't argue that. Dude won it. So.
He's an Ultimate Fighter winner, bro.
He beat Kimbo on like the first, what was it, like the first or second episode. I was so pissed off. I'm like, this motherfucker.
Damn it, the whole show's over. Kimbo can't win.
At that point in time, I'm like, yeah, Kimbo's gonna come on there and just start fucking everybody up. And I'm like, wait a minute. As you watch that fight, you're like, wait a minute. It's like that meme. You're like looking around, like, fuck. And then dude just runs to the table.
I think Rampage I think Rampage would like his heart broke that Kimbo didn't win that.
Oh, dude. We all were at that point. Everybody watching was.
It's so crazy because I watch a bunch of those shop shows and stuff, and every time he brings up, because he was the one that lost to Roy Nelson in the final, and every time he talks about that fight, he's like, fucking Roy Nelson had like 35 pro fights, and I'm over here with like in my fourth pro fight, done made it through, and I'm just a college football athlete that tried my best in the NFL, and it's like. Yeah, no wonder Roy Nelson went in there and kicked fucking everybody's ass. Is because he literally was at least a skilled fighter at that point with experience behind it.
He's a legit black belt, dude. Like that's the thing. Like, I mean, you didn't see it once he discovered that he could knock people out, but I mean, dude, he legit was like a badass black belt too, and that's what's crazy about it.
Yeah. Even in the later stages of his career, looking at like his Bellator run and stuff like that, he was beating a lot of guys that you wouldn't have expected him to beat. And we're talking 45-year-old Roy Nelson at this point. Yeah. Still got the gut, still looks relatively the same. But you would think with all the extra weight being carried around, basically being a natural 185er, but with a gut. That
natural 185er where?
If he lost that weight, look at his frame,
bro. You mean if you cut the like proper fight weight? You mean okay?
Yeah.
He did lose a bunch of weight towards the end of his career, but he was always big even in the beginning of his career.
He still had that pot belly.
He always had that belly.
That man liked to eat. He was one of us. Damn it. He liked the food.
As looking through his whole career as somebody who came into these fights weighing at like 235 and stuff in most of his fights, he could have definitely lost 40 pounds worth of gut weight and made it down to the 190 and cut some water and then made it to 185.
Could you imagine? I
stick by that statement.
Could you imagine?
I could have saw 205, but I don't know.
Could you imagine him show up to like weight cut day or weight day and it's like he's got like a 6-pack and he's all jacked up? Like, who is this guy? This is no longer. This is medium country.
Yeah, the guy from the country, Roy Nelson.
Yeah, let's say Roy Nelson. This is medium country.
All right. So as far as most impactful for me, I think. So number one, I think has to be Kamaru Usman. I think it's kind of hard to not really put him there with what he's done at this point. It's tough with like because I feel like a lot of the women's seasons, I feel like they kind of like they ended up being like the back burner on a lot of things.
Same thing with this one this year. I feel like it ended up being like the lesser discussed. I mean, I know Usman got the vicious knockout, but same deal. Like that's a lot less people are talking about Juliana Miller coming out of this tough finale. But go on, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. But yeah, dude, I mean, that's the thing. Because then when you think about it, there's also so many of the winners who they never did anything. But I'm gonna go with as far as an old school name. I think Kamaru Usman, I think Rashad Evans.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about somebody who laid a lot of the groundwork for MMA and stuff like when it was in its building period. I mean, I was there the night he knocked out Chuck Liddell.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that pick. He definitely changed. I hate to bring race into it, but I feel like up to that point, we hadn't seen as many successful black athletes in the sport, especially in the more modern time that he was, so popular in. And I feel like he did a great job of really showcasing that, hey, this is a diverse sport and it's not just, cockfighting and stuff like that. Like, it was getting such the skinhead mentality and stuff like that. And I feel like he did a great job with his smooth talking and the fact that he would go in there and put on these performances and stuff. I feel like Rashad definitely changed some things in the game. And even now with his analytic work and stuff like that, I'm a big Sugar Rashad
and he's
fan.
still winning fights. He just won a fight in Eagle FC.
Yeah. He's talking about doing another one potentially too. So
the original Sugar.
The
original Sugar Show.
I heard actually somebody talking about the fact that maybe Eagle FC should run him versus Sam Alvey. And I was like, that wouldn't be the worst fight. Like, I wouldn't be against it. I feel like, where Evans is in his, career, he's fighting at 85 at this point. Like, maybe.
A lot of respect for Rashad, but I'll tell you right now, I think the night that he knocked out Chuck Liddell, I flipped my table over. I was so pissed. Just saying.
Put it this way. My dad and I were at that fight. It was in the Phillips Arena. Herschel Walker walked right into the arena right in front of me. I remember when that fight happened, me and this guy's like sitting one row in front of me. And dude's like, I'm over here like, Chuck's going to knock him out. Chuck's going to knock him out. And then he had a really good first round, if you remember. And then second round, man, he hit him with that shot, man, and this dude turned around and let me have it. And I was just like,
perhaps one of the cleanest, most just technical, just perfect overhand right hands ever seen in any type of combat sport.
And not to mention, bro, to give it an analogy for our wrestling fans, it's like when somebody uses your finishing move against you because he hit him with an overhand right, dude.
Yeah,
like he hit him with the Liddell punch.
It was Chuck Liddell 101. Oh, dude. And I'll never forget the way he went down. I just I froze. I'm like, fuck. No. No. I was so mad, dude.
Yeah, tell me about it. That was my 16th birthday present. Big fan of Rashad. But yeah, that sucked. But with that being said, so that'd be number 2 for me. Number 3, man, I've gone back and forth on who I would put with that one, but kind of to go along with what J-Bone said, Nate, when you really think about what he did off of The Ultimate Fighter, like,
yeah,
you want to talk about a guy who, is lost, but still has that drawing power to stay around like that. Like, everybody wants to watch the Diaz brothers fight. Doesn't matter when they fight, who they're fighting, why they're fighting. Nate's got him a hell of a fight coming ahead with Chimaev. But I don't know, man. We're going to have to see what we're going to see next from The Ultimate Fighter because, man, in a lot of ways, I feel like the Contender Series is already kind of taking its spot. So,
dude, how many seasons has there been of The Ultimate Fighter?
30.
This was tough.
37,
I believe.
Holy shit!
37.
You got okay. Here's a good one. Do you guys have a least favorite?
No, hang on, I'll tell you in a second.
Impactful or anything? Do you guys have a least favorite Ultimate Fighter?
Not offhand.
Ultimate Fighter or season?
No, Ultimate Fighter winner.
I mean, not winner. I don't.
I'll tell you what. I'll go first. I don't remember what season it was, but whatever season Kelvin Gastelum was on, I don't know why, but I disliked that guy from jump, and he won the whole thing. I was so disappointed. God, man.
See, I
when you watch the show and you're like, all right, that's my favorite. And then you want him to win the whole thing. It's like, okay, I don't like that guy. And then he just kept beating everybody. It's like, this sucks.
See, I don't know why I like Gastelum because I feel like he's like underskilled, undersized, for the weight that he fights and stuff like that. And he just goes in there with that dog mentality and just ends up grinding out victories against a lot of top tier talent. So I respect Calvin.
I can't even say a bad thing about him, to be honest. Besides,
my favorite season of The Ultimate Fighter, though,
For some reason, I never liked the guy. I don't know why. Couldn't even tell you why. Just
Gastelum was good, but yeah, man, I don't know. Everybody's kind of got their own flavor and what they like. Like for me, to be honest, my favorite season of The Ultimate Fighter, and obviously I was a little biased, but my favorite season of The Ultimate Fighter was the Ultimate Fighter live season because Miles and Darren were on it. And both of which are past guests of the show. So if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like button, go back and check it out. Why don't you? It's available wherever you get podcasts and YouTube and all those good things. But that being said, I mean, that season was so dope, especially being from Michigan and like watching these guys come up, you know, through the pros and all that. And then to see them both on the show, like I'll never forget Darren waking up out of a sleep and just waking up and wailing kicks at that dude. Like jumps up in his boxers. Wow. I'm like, damn it, he's going to get thrown out the house. Yeah. Like, oh shit.
I just wish they would mix in more like they used to do the cool like fucking they were not quite to that level, but the what was the Rogan show that he was so famous for, the game show that
the Fear Factor?
Yeah, it was just like
you wanted him to eat eyeballs?
No, what I'm saying is they used to do games on the Tough Show where they were like
they didn't eat eyeballs.
They didn't eat eyeballs, but they would suspend like one of the coaches
they
or
do,
something
like, the coaches
in the
challenge
air,
and all that
yeah, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like they used to do the games and stuff, and that would make it more interesting. And to your point, Kyle, when we had talked about it last week, that they had a lot more interaction in the house during the show, and less like you learned about the fighter by what they actually showcased while they were in the house, not what their backstory was while they were this and this, while they were, you know, on the rise and stuff. You learned about them by watching them on camera, and I feel like that's part of what.
Well, and I like them showing like the way up to it, but at the same time, like I feel like you're not seeing as much of the interaction in the houses. I mean, dude, I'll never forget like Junie Browning like losing his fucking mind in that house and like
let me bang, bro.
Yeah,
Julian Lane fucking is literally still famous for that. Like literally still.
Yeah, it's literally his nickname now, right?
Yeah.
So. Hopefully Justin James can get his neck healed up so him and Julian can fight. But yeah, man, it's I don't know. The Ultimate Fighter has had its run, but I'm wondering, you know, how many more seasons they'll be able to put on unless you have too many like rivalries really to get people, you know, in for that. But we have talked a lot about MMA. The last thing I want to talk about before we talk about some wrestling is I don't know, man. Another tough loss for Sergio. I almost said Sergio. Anthony Showtime Pettis. Damn it.
Well, that being the case, we'll dive into a baby corner on the PFL real quick because, man, Rob Wilkinson looked as impressive as I thought he would. I had called that out after the show last week. I'd said, you know, PFL wasn't so noteworthy other than the Pettis fight. Wilkinson looked amazing, finalist as he should be. I really wish Antonio Shoeface would have been able to not get injured and stay in this tournament because I feel like them two would have been a great matchup. But beyond that, Omari Akhmedov beat Josh Silveira, giving him his first loss. Silveira kind of looked flat, honestly. It looked like he wasn't able to get anything going in that fight. And he was such a highly touted prospect, had looked amazing in both LFA and really in the PFL in his rise to this playoff spot. That being said, Omari Akhmedov basically shut him down, was able to keep the pressure on him, earned his spot in the finals. Moving over to the lightweights, like you had said, man, Anthony Pettis, he had came out after the fact and said that he had broken both of his hands in the fight. That being the case, I'll forgive his performance because I feel like he just really looked kind of flat out there. Looked like he was really worried about the grappling because that was what was able to shut him down in their most recent fight, being that this was an immediate rematch.
That was crazy to me how quick they ran this back.
Well, it's the tournament. That's how the tournament laid out, right? Or Anthony Pettis. I almost called him Sergio too. You're fucking me up with calling him. But Anthony Pettis was the number one.
I didn't take them words out your mouth.
And because of the way that the point system had laid out, God, why am I forgetting his opponent's name right now that got the win?
Stevie Ray.
Stevie
Hey,
Ray.
we'd interviewed a Stevie Ray,
not-
one half
not
of Harlem Heat.
Not Harlem
Stevie
Heat,
Ray.
Stevie Ray.
I'm
What?
just saying, any fans of Harlem Heat in this bitch, make sure you go back and check out our interview with Hall of Famer Stevie Ray.
Stevie Ray looked great in both of these performances, but he really just shut down Pettis, man. And the hand thing being what it is, like I say, I'll forgive his performance. But even once he was able to kind of keep himself on the feet in the third round a bit, he just wasn't able to throw anything that looked like it had real fighting ending intentions. So I don't know what point the hands were broke and stuff, but if your hands are broke, of course you can't throw with fight ending intentions because you're gonna just fuck your hands up. So I forgive that. I'm very curious to see what his future is with.
It's gonna be a
PFL
tough look, dude, because that's 2 straight losses too.
It's not just 2 straight losses. He's 1-4 in the PFL. So
their big free agent signing thing didn't work out, and now
he's one of their top paid athletes too. So it's not like he's just some guy. He's like making $750K or a fight or some shit. So he's like really making money fighting for these guys. And then on top of that, it's a great way to build up your guys that are lesser known if they're able to get the win and stuff on them. But that being said, you were fighting him against a past UFC vet himself and Stevie Ray, so it's not like people were unfamiliar with him to begin with. So I don't know. Congrats, Stevie Ray, for moving on to the finals, though. And then Oban Mercier, I'm not even going to try to hack his name up right now. OAM, he looked great in his performance as well. Wasn't able to get the finish, but the decision was rightfully his. He led the dance the whole fight. So shout out those 4. Excited for what PFL brings this Friday as well. And
we're gonna have to see what's gonna happen out of PFL too, because Cyborg is gonna talking about boxing and stuff, but from what she's saying, she hasn't had no real conversations with PFL about a fight with her and Kayla Harrison. So
I would imagine they're waiting until the end of the season, because what's the point of negotiating now, other than the fact that Cyborg, of course, is going to want to be Cyborg and stay busy. But if she does end up doing the boxing route or something like that, it'll probably be another 6 months before we see her back in an MMA environment. It'll probably be a 3-month camp.
There's not really anybody for her to fight in Bellator right now. So.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, she's done with her official contract with Bellator. She's a free agent.
She's a free agent.
But she's willing to fight one-offs is kind of how she had said it, because of the lack of opponents for Bellator. That being said, quick corner, Brian Battle, I had already mentioned his name earlier, but that head kick, dude, that was fucking vicious.
It had NyQuil in it.
Boy, that thing was nasty, and he set it up with the hands. You always hear the commentators, you always hear the coaches, set your kicks up with the hand. He literally stuck his jab in a place where he knew his opponent was going to try to slip it, but it slipped him directly into the fucking head kick. It was a thing of fucking beauty, man. I mean, he really looked like a progressing star. You want to talk about people that may be somebody good off of tough? Brian Battle, man, showcasing he's got them skills to contend in the UFC, getting finishes like that. I had brought up Cory McKenna earlier as well. I feel like first, for her size and the fact that she's like 22 years old, and to be as skilled as she is, being able to just take these girls down at will, ground and pound them, chase submissions, and really just showcase a very well-rounded game for her age. I got to shout her out, especially the fact that she's the first woman to ever get a Von Flue choke. I feel like that kind of stuff's always cool when women can cement their place in the record books.
It's definitely dope, but Von Flue chokes are definitely because your opponent fucked up.
Yeah, you left that guillotine in there too long, and you ain't trying to let go. That's what that is. But,
I'm just saying, no disrespect to her, but really that was her opponent's fault.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, you can turn that into a head and arm.
She's still a first, so
yeah. Either way, you can turn.
You can turn that into what?
Real quick, so head and arm choke or an arm triangle, real quick. Either way, so
from the guillotine position.
No, from from her being on top while the opponent's holding the guillotine for too long. You literally have their arm already there, even if they aren't.
I thought you
going
meant
over
from
you,
having
even
a
if they straighten
guillotine.
it.
I'm like,
No.
where do you think you're going to get an arm
No,
triangle out of this? I'm
talking about in this showcase. I'm talking about.
I get
Cory
it. No, I get it
McCann's
now, but
position.
that's why I was asking. I'm like, where the fuck are you going to get an
No.
arm triangle out of that?
Yeah. Only time I've ever seen that was one time, and that was Alexei Oleinik doing it against a far lesser skilled heavyweight.
No,
I forget who his opponent was. But.
I've put an arm triangle on somebody from the ground before. Like you can use it to help you get up, dude. Like, and if you can squeeze hard enough, you can choke the motherfucker.
Yeah, but beyond that, those were my two main showcases from the UFC event. I feel like I had to break down that a little further. Cherry on top for everybody. Don't leave our show to go fucking watch it, or I'll be mad at you. But Bo Nickal's probably taking the stage in roughly a half hour or so to fight for his UFC contract on the Contender Series. And for those of you who are unaware of who Bo Nickal is, multiple-time All-American, wrestled out of Penn State, which is widely regarded as the best wrestling school in the country, and was just extremely dominant collegiate wrestler. And if DC and all the other top-level wrestlers that have made their way up to title contention fairly quickly can tell you anything, Henry Cejudo, all these top-level wrestlers, there's a reason why these guys are so successful, whether it be the work ethic or just the skills that they're able to implement. That being said, this is only his second professional bout. Crazy as it is, they already got him in the Contender Series fighting for a contract. So they definitely see the future may be bright in the Bo Nickal game. So I'm excited to check that one out once we wrap this show up.
All right, man. We have talked MMA a lot at this point. J-Bone, let's talk about the wrestling end of things. And before we get there, man, I got to start doing better on the DraftKings and shit, you know? The last couple weeks I've been getting my ass kicked in these parlays. You know, the only thing that's kind of saving my ass is the fact that they said that you can write this off with your taxes now. And speaking of taxes,
you can write off.
Make sure you. Yes, you can. Like you can write off your gambling debt. Like if I'm not mistaken, I could totally be wrong, but I swear I heard that. But regardless of that, get your taxes together, and we can help you do that with our homies at G3 Payroll Tax and Accounting. Make sure you go check out Jack and the family over there at G3 Payroll and Tax. You know, they have stepped on to be a sponsor through the rest of the year. So like I said, make sure you go check out Jack Gerard, get your taxes and get your stuff together. Make sure you tell them Knockouts and 3 Counts sent you. But all right.
That's a hell of a news thing to drop right at an ad read. We're like, wait, what? I get all my money back?
See, I teach you more than just wrestling and MMA in this bitch.
If you're curious about whether or not you're able to get that said money back, why not contact our guy, Jack Gerard at G3, because he'll be able to answer all your tax questions. So.
Not that
I've lost a lot of money or anything.
Shit, I haven't either, but I mean, I lost the last couple weeks, man. The way these fights been playing out, it's not been going so good for your boy. But like I said, we got some wrestling to talk about. Like I said, we're gonna have some news coming to you soon about Circle 6 and their return to Detroit. So make sure you are checking us out on all the social medias about that as well. Dude, so we saw another return on Monday Night Raw last night, huh? Yeah. And I liked that it was very subtle and it wasn't like somebody just showing up like that. You know, AJ Styles and The Miz had their deal, and then the next thing you know, you've got some guy looking like he's gonna charge the ring, and you find out it's Dexter Lumis. Yeah. So like I said, man, I'm not mad at some of these NXT Black and Gold guys kind of being brought back here, but J-Bone, what is your thought on the climate so far with the names we brought back? Do you kind of want to see it like slowed down so it doesn't get burnt out or anything? Or where are you at as far as what we've seen from Triple H in a week and a half so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. Like, we don't want to bring guys back every show. You know what I mean? Like, we need to build up some steam and let things happen. But at the same time, what's Triple H done now? What, four TV shows? You know, I don't know.
Three.
We've been left with a hanger at every single one of them. You know what I mean? Like,
it's been a long time since you can say that.
Yeah, we're ending the show with like, shit, don't cut it, what's gonna happen? And it's like, okay, now we got to watch the next show. So he's getting us there,
and generally wanting to watch the next show.
Right, we're going back to what we used to love, man. Like, keep bringing me back. Give me a reason to want to come back next week, and that's a good thing. And I think we're still making the creative splash, like we talked about over the past week or two. He's still got to really put his stamp on these things and say, all right, look, it's no longer Vince's thing, no longer Vince's house anymore. Like, and here's why. I mean, we're seeing plenty of different things with the guys coming back. Hopefully it leads to bigger names, maybe not yet, but there's still Gargano's out there, Bray Wyatt's out there. We still got Sasha Banks and Naomi, seeing what's going to happen with them. Like, a lot of things to happen. Let's just not go too fast. You know what I mean? Like,
sidebar, did you see at San Diego Comic-Con that they were doing pictures with Sasha and Naomi, and like you had to take them like 6 feet apart? Even Rand had to take one like 6 feet apart.
Did you see how awkward the photos were? It was like, dude, they're so far apart. Like, what?
If you're one of them people that are genuinely worried, I know, like, people are catching COVID again. You know, it is a thing again. And if I know she's not necessarily active in the wrestling scene right now, but I'm sure she doesn't want to be
doing the Mandalorian and all the other shit.
That's what I was saying. I'm sure she doesn't want to be sidelined on the rest of her project. So to that point, I guess I can understand it. But it is a little ridiculous to charge, I don't know what the rates were or whatever for the photos, but I'm sure they weren't just taking photos with fans for free and then
hell no.
Like, I'm sure that a lot of these fans were expecting to hug her and have a picture like this and tell them a short story and stuff at 6 feet apart. It's like, hi. It's not the same. Yeah.
I mean, what's that, bro? Put the glass pillar between them. That way you can kind of get closer. You know what I mean? But like, you got one big photo. It's like you're on this side and she's on this side. It's like, what did I pay? $150 for this? $200? Like, I don't know. I wouldn't do it.
At least I would imagine somebody of her level, and especially what she's got going on in her career right now. A lot of people would want to be like, I got this photo with her while she was a free agent. And so, I'm sure those pictures were probably at least $50 a piece.
And not to mention, if you get close enough, the number one question is like, are you coming back? When are you coming back? She don't want to answer that. You know what I mean? So I get it. But at the same time, like, figure it out, man. There's got to be a better way. Like, that's just the most awkward photo. Yeah,
like, man. I mean, that I had to ask about that. But with that being said and talking about them and bringing them up, do you think that they show up somehow in this tag team tournament that they're doing? And what do you think of the teams that they got in it?
Well, not to jump back real quick, but I feel like what Triple H has been doing, I wanted to get that across real quick. Triple H has been doing a great job. And what J-Bone had mentioned, you don't want it to be the expectation from fans that every time you run a single event that there's going to be some new face. You want it to still have that fresh, like, oh, holy shit feeling when somebody new does arrive on the map. Like that's, or bring back somebody who was an old fan favorite. You want that to still have its allure. And if you do more than like 2 a month, you can do them back to back, even just to be like, oh, surprise,
well, and that was what was brilliant with how he
like,
did it, though. It's not like they had like this big old reveal, like, oh shit, somebody's coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, he came through the crowd, and if you weren't paying attention, you didn't know that it happened. So, I mean, again, to J-Bone's point, I mean, dude, it's getting back to a point where the stuff you don't ever know what's coming.
I mean, I'm a little old school, but like that reminded me of the Attitude Era WCW stuff. So like when the NWO type thing was going on, there was always like an interaction or a counteraction of something that was happening in the ring to like sign off the show. It was like, oh shit, it's like pandemonium. You know what I mean? Like, what's going on? And then it just cuts the show. It's like,
Yeah,
now I got to come back next week.
Well, and it makes people who are watching at home want to be there live because you don't know what the hell is going to happen. And then you're like, well, shit, what happened after they went off the air?
Yeah, exactly. I wish the crowd was a little hotter for that kind of stuff, but like at a time like this, I mean, I can understand. Like, it's not a lot of people are gonna really be focused on like the black and gold stuff. Like, same thing with Karrion Kross. Like, you seen his return on SmackDown last Friday, which was
dope,
awesome. I literally jumped out of my seat. I'm like, yeah, dude, hell yeah! You see the wings come on the screen. I'm like, dude, what? And then I'm like, the crowd.
And really that he got to come back with Scarlett too, and they had the entrance.
Yeah, dude, I was like, I was legit marking out for that. And it was like, the crowd wasn't really there, you know. But hopefully they get back there. I don't know.
Either way, I feel like I had to note that Triple H has been doing a great job since taking over. I've seen it from every just like our show. There's many media networks and stuff that cover MMA and wrestling, and from all their takes that I get to see, everybody's loved the new direction. So I had to note that. And, go ahead.
Well, that's something I wanted to. I was going to bring that up anyway because the question is, do you think everybody's so hyped up off of what Triple H is doing just in the first few episodes so far because there's like that honeymoon phase like we kind of got with AEW right now? Because remember, it's the first time in 40 years you don't got Vince at the helm of shit. So, I mean, some of it, do you think some of it's a honeymoon phase? Because I personally think that it's going to take like 6 months before we can really see what Triple H is going to be able to, what his product's really going to look like.
Yeah, definitely. And to your point, where like a lot of the signings haven't been necessarily the top guys and stuff, because that type of stuff does take time to materialize, and you do have to build more into that instead of just here he is, guess who's back type of like.
Yeah, but, I mean, and it's one thing to bring a guy back, but you gotta have, what are you gonna do next? You know what I mean? Like, you can't just bring him back and then like, okay, you don't see him for a couple of weeks, or like he has nothing. What are we gonna do with him?
What's his direction on who should be the next level champions and who should be the people contending for the new crop? What's his new crop gonna be? Give it the 6 months, a year. Once we do kind of like I had said before, let the current storylines play through, we'll see a lot of that, Triple H kind of spin on it all, once all that's said and done.
Yep.
I don't know, man. Regardless, it's got me more excited to be there.
Last night on Raw, I noticed Kevin Owens came out a little more aggressive, man, which I like. So I think we're going to be getting
power bomb to the apron's back.
That old Kevin Owens back, which is going to be dope too. So remember, he was at one point Triple H storyline wise, had him as the Universal Champion, right? So hey,
he was NXT champion too.
We need that badass KO back.
With your point or your question, should I say, on the whole honeymoon phase thing, though, I think it is and it isn't, right? It is in the sense of people are just excited and they're like kind of one eye closed to what they don't realize that half of what the stuff that they're seeing was stuff that they were already going to see, type of like, they're like, oh, this is crazy that this happened because of Triple H. But I think a lot of it really boils into the fact that a lot of these fans, wrestlers, like you say, Kevin Owens comes running out and he just seems more hype and stuff. A lot of these guys, their fans included, like I said, they're more enthralled with the fact of the possibility of what could happen because they liked the way Triple H was running NXT. They liked the fact that Triple H, the moves that he had made in the past to earn this spot as the new CEO, to begin with. And it's just an interesting dynamic. I think it's a mixture of the two, though. I think it really boils into more of the possibility of what's next over like the honeymoon of what's going on right now.
Yeah, I think right now we're just making a splash. Like, let's get everybody's attention. Hey, everybody, look at us. We're bringing back this guy. And then we're going to build something, and that's what's most important. We got to build something up into, let's say, Survivor Series. Like, remember, Kyle, a couple years ago they did this. How good was that Survivor Series where they had NXT involved? You remember that?
Oh, it was great. I've always said
that Keith Lee and Roman Reigns final match, dude, incredible. Guys like Ricochet, Karrion Kross, and the crop at NXT now. If you could somehow manage to implement them into Survivor Series, like that's going to speak volumes on what Triple H is going to do. But it's all about how we get there and how they can keep our attention engaged. Rather than we can't just keep bringing guys back and do nothing. Like we said, you got to make the splash, get the attention by bringing these guys back. And
we still got to see what he's going to do with NXT because we haven't really seen much happen with NXT yet. We kind of got to see, where we're going to start seeing the change there when it comes to NXT and where if Triple H goes back to something like the black and gold brand or what we're going to see as far as champions and all that going forward.
When they transitioned it from the black and gold to the more modern era, right? Did they that was Vince's hands dealing the cards?
NXT 2.0 and what you have right now is all Vince and
all
Bruce
Vince.
Pritchard.
Was at least. So that I was curious because if he had a second guy that he had placed in, maybe Triple H would focus on the main, shindig while, he's got this fresh in the reins basically. But if it was Vince running that as well, I would imagine it will definitely be Triple H taking the reins again.
Well, he's
like,
got
he's the black and gold. Kyle, do you think it'd be a good idea to bring back like the whole black and gold the way it was?
It would
go
be
backwards, you know what I mean?
It would be a big callback to the fans. I feel like change the logo, change like the stuff, but bring the colors back and be like, this is like the new modern, the 3.0 basically, but the black and gold 2.0 or something.
As far as the talent though, like you don't want to bring back, like let's say, for example, let's say a guy like Ricochet. You don't want to bring him back to like NXT black and gold and like, okay, we're gonna do this all over again. Or do you want to basically put that?
Well, I don't think you make it look
on Raw and SmackDown type thing.
Well, I don't think that you make it.
Oh, sorry, Kyle. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. I don't think you make it. I don't think you make it exactly like the black and gold. To your point, I think it's got to be a little bit different. From that, I think we could see a lot of the people that we were in there and a lot that were in there and a lot of the influence, but. The thing that's very interesting, and again, it kind of goes back to that tag team tournament, the women's tag team tournament. They've got NXT teams in there. Zoe Stark and Nikita Lyons are all their NXT team. They're in there as well. So, I mean, the fact that they're already, kind of getting a shot at the women's tag team titles. Now, to be fair, it's not like there's a surplus of women's tag teams on the main roster at this point. But I don't know, man. It's I think there's a good chance we could see something that looks real similar to what NXT Black and Gold could have been, but I think that it needs to be kind of not freshened up because I loved it, but it needs to have a different look.
Well, I think Vince had the right idea in mind. How it played out, of course, everybody liked the older version more, it seemed like, but I think he had the right idea where NXT should be the developmental, or at least build the story up of these guys, whether they're indie guys.
But it doesn't need to be treated like a.
No, I don't think it needs to be treated like one. But what I mean, though, is it should, to use an example, they keep signing a bunch of these, celebrity level, talent and stuff like that. What if you had, Valerie Loretta, who just signed with the WWE, who is, with Bellator forever. What if you have her make her debut through them, through NXT, and then build her story up so where if you do end up moving her up to the big roster and, getting the showcase and stuff, she has the built-in fanfare. She's been able to kind of smooth out a bunch of the rough edges and stuff like that. That's where I feel like NXT is good for when you're signing the rougher talent, but you can tell that there's a diamond in the rough and stuff. I feel like that would be the great grinding wheel essentially for
I think NXT is always going to be their developmental, to be honest. I mean, the thing for me is I think they need to be seen as a legitimate third brand to where that way they're being included, including them in the tag team tournament. I really liked the vignette for Ciampa and the fact that he wore out Harley Race's coat to the ring.
Yeah.
And they really hyped up how he was trained by Harley Race and all those things. Here's the question, J-Bone. Do you think he should have won the title off of Bobby Lashley last night?
Not yet. We'll get there, but not yet.
You don't. I mean, you think, Lashley, but not even
Bobby
with
Lashley,
how hard they hyped up the Harley Race thing.
I mean, I wouldn't have been mad at it, but Bobby Lashley is another guy who's in a stride, man. He's looking great. He's doing.
I'm
great
not
stuff.
saying I don't like Bobby as champ either. I'm just saying with all they put in about that.
I don't.
What up, though, Joey?
I'd have taken it, but it might not be time yet. You know what I mean? Like, let's build it. Let's build to something. Have a big win. You know what I mean? Rather than just like, hey, we're gonna change this up. Win. Here's the title.
As much as me being an MMA guy, I'm a fan of Lashley because of his background and stuff, and the fact that he was a fighter for a long time with a very successful record. You know, fought in Bellator. You know, did his thing in the MMA side. So I'll always be a fan of Lashley. But that being said, while we were watching the fights at Kyle's house, that was at the point where it was still in the undercard. So we had the SummerSlam on the big screen, and it seemed like a lot of the fans were maybe over the Bobby Lashley title run at this point. It didn't seem like he got a huge pop or anything. And for somebody that's carrying your belt at this point, I feel like, you know, it didn't seem like there was a ton at stake in that fight, even though it was a title bout. You know what I mean? So right. I don't know. Maybe, you know, maybe it is time that they find, you know, one of these younger stars that they can build around a little more. I feel like Lashley has done great things in his career, but I feel like he's also, you know,
to go with what you were talking about. Else, you know? To go with what you were talking about, another name who's been elevated since Triple H has come up, Shayna Baszler is now fighting Liv Morgan at Clash at the Castle. You know, and you've heard me say on repeat for months, like Shayna Baszler should be used a lot better than she is, and so now you've got her in the women's championship match against Liv Morgan at Clash at the Castle. I hope at some point we can see Shayna Baszler with, you know, a WWE championship to go along with that NXT championship. But I like the fact that as soon as Triple H got back in control of creative, they're already like acknowledging, okay, they were NXT champion. They were NXT tag team champion. You were NXT North American champion. So it's giving credit to those title runs. Same with Gunther and talking about what he was with the Intercontinental title.
Can we change it back to
Gunther?
Can we?
He said, hot take. Joey says that Shayna's taking the belt off of Liv.
I'm cool with it, man. I'm ready to see Ronda and Shayna. You know that's gonna happen eventually, hopefully.
I want to see Ronda and Shayna just beat the fuck out of everybody. Like,
or they're gonna tag.
I think that needed to be a team in the tag tournament. That's what the team needed to be.
Yeah. Now, do you think that all leads back to Sasha and Naomi though? Like in some way. Maybe like some.
I would hope that they would.
The big return. You know, hey, those were our titles.
I would hope with the way that everything happened that they'd have to, because I mean, with them bringing people back and the way fans were so pissed about that, like I feel like you almost have to. And they never lost the belts.
Right.
I mean,
you got
maybe
you got an early winner on that or what?
I wonder how quick they'll bring them back.
Right now, it looks like Io and Dakota Kai.
Yeah.
I wonder how quick they'll bring them back though, because of the fact that it definitely could be viewed as a huge smack in the face to WWE. The fact that they just walked out being the belt holders and everything else. You know, I'm sure that their disputes were probably with Vince, or at least I would imagine so. So being the fact that Triple H is in the helm now, but you know, the family is still in the background. So maybe they're like, hey, we're not ready to, you know, immediately jump to bringing these girls back, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and we've seen everything on screen. We don't know what's happening behind the scenes. Who's to say the culture hasn't even changed? You know what I mean? We don't know. We don't really know yet. So time's going to tell, man. We got to wait. Gotta wait.
Joey's got a good point. I think SmackDown Women's Champion should be the women who are legit tough badasses, and the Raw Women's Champion should be the ones who are flashier. You know, if you remember back in the day when they were really running the brand split hot, like there was really a different culture on the two different shows. Like SmackDown was more where anything could happen, but Raw was like the, like maybe the little bit grittier of the two products and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
For
I
sure.
like
I remember being a kid, not to interrupt your point, Kyle, but I remember being a kid that they like would do the video games that were split. They'd have the Raw and the SmackDown games, and even just the music choices and like the way that the animations would play out and stuff. You could tell that was the vibe that they were trying to imply. It was like to your point, Raw always had that like grit feel where like SmackDown was more of like the polished, like this is our I don't want to say flagship, but this was like our more kid approved, like younger fan type of like.
Raw
show.
will always be the flagship, but right now with SmackDown being on Fox, that could be debated. But Raw has been the flagship for the majority of WWE's existence.
Yeah, but that's what it felt like to me, at least being a viewer as a kid. It felt like SmackDown was the clean WWE or WWF back then, and then and then Raw being like, in its name implies, the raw or realer version.
SmackDown, being on Fox, you gotta clean it a little bit. We're not on cable, you know what I mean? So,
well, we've talked a little bit about WWE and the stuff that's going on with that. I think the only other thing, and I'm going to leave it at this, we'll talk about it a little bit more on Thursday. I think Dom is going to turn on Rey Mysterio soon, dude.
Yeah. I mean, you could see it coming, dude.
Especially after last night.
Yeah. Yep. You could see it coming. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it, but at the same time, I'd like to see them make a good tag team title run, but hey, what are you gonna do?
Boy, is that full circle. We've gone from Dom, who they had a ladder match between Eddie and Ray for custody of Dom, and now Dom's getting in it with his dad. Like how the times have turned. I'm gonna be interested to see how that plays out. Joey, I was just getting ready to get to Battle of the Belts. I know you were there. What were your guys' thoughts on Battle of the Belts? Also, shout out to Hollywood's World of Sports. Joey was credentialed for AEW Battle of the Belts. Hopefully we can get knockouts and 3 counts in there soon. But I don't know. J-Bone, what did you think about Battle of the Belts, bro?
Dude, I actually didn't get to catch it all, man, but I mean, I don't know. I didn't get to catch it all. So I got the results. I just didn't get to watch it all. So
I enjoyed it. I mean, I think the Battle of the Belts and stuff like that needs to be like 2 hours. I mean, I know they got Rampage and Battle of the Belts out of it, but like I really wish that if you're going to do that, like a special like that on a Saturday, I feel like it should be 2 hours. But that being said, I think the Ring of Honor title match was a damn good match. There you go. Claudio versus Takeshita was, awesome live. I don't doubt it. I mean, let's be honest, bro. Takeshita is definitely been like one of the hottest, like, I don't want to say rookies because the guy's been around for years, but like the hottest new faces on the scene ever since he started having his matches on Dynamite, and he's been just having bangers left and right. I mean, even down to getting in a brawl with Moxley, dude. I mean, this dude's really been knocking it out of the park every time we're seeing him over there on AEW. So, yeah, like he said, Claudio versus Takeshita was a badass match. I'm loving the Blackpool Combat Club and everything with that. Joey, what was your favorite match? Was it Claudio and Takeshita, or was it a different match?
I did get to see a little bit of the Wardlow and Jay Lethal thing, though. I mean,
what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's a good look, man, because, I mean, Wardlow, obviously, we already know he's going to become a star. But to get him in the ring with vets like that and really, experience the wrestling part of all this rather than just, like, the shine of being the top guy, I mean, he needs that. He's going to need that. And you already know Jay Lethal's a vet, dude. So for him to be in the ring with him, it's going to do nothing but good things for Wardlow. So that was actually a really, really smart move by them to put him in a match with Jay Lethal. So good match.
It's so nice to see Lethal finally kind of getting that like shine on a big stage. Not that Ring of Honor was not, I mean, he's the franchise of Ring of Honor. I mean, there's no other way to really put it. I mean, he had like longest title reigns with multiple titles. So, like I said, I mean, there's not any understating what he did in Ring of Honor and the stuff he did as Black Machismo in Impact. But that being said, you know, it's not the same as WWE, and since he was never there, you know, I mean, it's cool to see him on AEW. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, though, with that being said, you know, how prominently we continue to see him pushed. I personally hope that we can see Jay Lethal and Andrade kind of keep going what we saw from Ric Flair's last match. Joey said, well, Claudio's too obvious of an answer for me, but as a whole, I loved Manson, Mox, and the tag team street fight on Rampage. Dude, Mance versus Mox on Rampage was a fucking banger, dude.
So cool to see him too. Mance get some shit in there, man. Like, good for him.
Drinking light bears, baby. The Southern Psycho Mancer. Old Mancer. Where's the doors at, though? They had real tables. They didn't need doors, but
right.
Yeah, man, it was great to see Old Mancer like Old Mancer on in that match, and they had like their style match, like what you would expect from them. Both of them are bleeding all over the fucking place. Really good match. I'm bummed I couldn't be there, especially with it being in our state. But yeah, man. We got to keep our eyes open for All Out. Hopefully, I will be in the building and in that bitch for that. You know, we also got one other match to talk about. What were your thoughts on Thunder Rosa versus Jamie Hayter? Now, I have said for a while, Jamie Hayter is going to be somebody that they need to watch out for as far as being somebody that can be a big star for them going into it. Anybody that's been following the show for a while knows that we rock with the people from Mission Pro, Thunder Rosa and the gang down there. Shout out to Brian and all those guys. Jeremiah. Yeah, man, they were all cool to us when we went down there to Texas, but I don't know. I like the matchup and the pairing of her and Hayter. Wow. Joey coming in hot again. He said Hayter should have won the belt.
I wouldn't be mad at that. She's a future star too, man. She's a star in the making right there. There's some gems over there in AEW that
I feel like Britt Baker needs to get the belt again and then have her take it off of Britt.
I feel like that's notoriously what gets griped about. I feel like the most with AEW is the lack of their women's division, basically. And I feel like the best way to do that is to kind of cycle this belt around a little bit and get the shine going on a couple of these different girls, so that if you are watching the show every week and you get to build up your, 4 months of fame or whatever with, the follow, you get to build up a following of hardcore fans that really like this wrestler in particular, and will always harpen back to when she was the belt holder, even if it was just for a short period. And that's why she's going to win it back when she, works on this and gets back this match and stuff like that. And I feel like the only way to do that is to kind of cycle that belt through. So I wouldn't be against it either, because I feel like Thunder Rosa, at this point, it's been 6 months or something since she won the belt.
She's had it for just over 3 months.
Okay, so maybe another month or two, but to my point, I feel like maybe a 5-month cycle. It should just be get these girls some real camera time, get them, the fanfare that.
But you don't want to make a title reign. You don't ever want to make title reigns just seem formulaic like that, though, dude. Like, you don't want to be like, well, she's got the belt, so she's going to have it for 6 months. Like, I get what you're saying, but you don't ever want to make a title seem like that, because then at that point, what the hell's the point to winning a title?
Right. Yeah, but if you vary it between 4 months to 6 months, it's not like you're going to automatically know. And at that point, 6 months is a long time, man. I mean, a lot of people, forget how long that actually feels when 6 months has gone by. That's, spring and summer, so that being said, I feel like if you were to give somebody a title run like that and then put them in some interesting matchups while they're holding the belt, I feel like that's plenty enough time. And if you were to keep it varied enough, it would keep people guessing to who's going to be the one that is the person to beat them,
Yeah, I feel that. Like I said, man, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. But J-Bone, before we sign off, what are your thoughts on this whole thing with the Tully Blanchard thing? And we saw Prince Nana come in at Death Before Dishonor, and I mean, do you think that we could see AEW kind of headed to a spot where they're in some kind of trouble? Because, like, think about a guy like Brian Cage, who we got to interview on here, or, past guests of the show, Khan. They're going to do that big group, and now Prince Nana has bought Tully Blanchard Enterprises. But I mean, do you think, especially now that Triple H has taken back over at WWE? I mean, obviously contracts are a thing, so it all depends on who's got how much time on their contract. But do you think when some of these contracts, start to open up, do you think we're going to see a lot of guys and girls go back to WWE as well, because you've only got so much time in AEW as well?
Yeah. I mean, and there's only so many spots, right? And we've been talking about that for a long time. AEW really did overload their roster. I mean, week after week, it was debut, new guy. Hey, this guy's from New Japan. This guy, old WWE guy. It was all over the place, man. So we're getting to the point now where contracts are going to start to expire. They're really going to start flattening out the field of who's going to stick around and be the future. I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of guys go back, especially now. If Vince was still at the head of it all, I wouldn't say
Andrade will go back.
I wouldn't say a lot of guys go back, but guys like he just mentioned, Miro, Andrade, I'd love to see those guys go back because they were actually getting a legit spot under Triple H. You know what I mean? Especially guys like Andrade, perfect example. Think of how well he was doing in NXT champion. He was in the Royal Rumble, and he made a great Royal Rumble appearance under the NXT banner. So yeah, I would love to see certain guys, not everybody. I'd love to see certain guys go back and get that legit shot at having a good run at WWE.
Devin, I was with Devin last night, and Devin was telling me that Miro's been saying that he was booked better in WWE, and remember, that was the whole reason he wanted to leave there in the first place.
I agree, man. Rusev Day, that was big.
I mean, dude, when he's been on TV, I love the Redeemer. But the problem is they keep putting him on TV and running the Redeemer thing, and then they'll do a badass promo, and then you don't see him for a minute.
And then he disappears, right?
Now, again, and I don't know how much of that is because of injuries and stuff, because, we don't know if he's been hurt or what necessarily happened with that. But like I said, when you look at it, that's a crazy thought when he was one of the ones wanting to come to AEW because of the way he was being booked towards the end.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I agree with your, both your guys' statements on it basically, but I feel like that'll be the ebbs and flows. And I feel like AEW to this point, unless something crazy happens, I mean, we've been talking about it the last couple times, that we brought up.
Damn
AEW
good question.
Is their TV contract and stuff like that, however that ends up playing out and stuff like that. But really, I feel like the releases and new signings and stuff like that, that'll continue to ebb and flow, and there will always be new exciting pieces that get added, But that being said, I feel like AEW's done a good enough job to this point of building their own fanfare that will tune into their product because they like, beyond just a couple of their stars, they like the way that AEW presents things and likes their show and stuff like that. So I think we'll start to see if these more high caliber guys that they sign and stuff do make the shuffle back to WWE. We'll just see some of these guys that are talented and stuff like that move their way into more prominent roles. I mean, AEW Dark's running every week or twice a week or whatever it is, and they're definitely trying their best to still scout in new talent and stuff like that. So I definitely could see them saying, okay, thank you so much for coming here, helping build our fanfare with your name and your exciting matches that you put on. But that being said, we've now got to the point where we feel like so-and-so will be, once we build up X wrestler, they'll start to gain their own fanfare and be to that level, but with the AEW brand attached behind them and not the, past WWE guy. because that's been a
and they've already been getting accused of too many WWE guys. But I'm gonna stick a pin in that real quick. J-Bone, you can answer this first. Joey's got a good question for us to end the show. If Triple H would have taken place 2 years ago, how many actually would have left for AEW? I think a lot of them wouldn't have left.
I agree. I'll say one group especially. I don't think we see the Undisputed Era in AEW right now. If Triple H has
no,
there's no way, because they had money written all over them, dude. In NXT, that was the next big faction. You know what I mean? And imagine them coming into Raw or SmackDown like NWO style. We're here to take over type thing. You know what I mean? Like, no way would they have gotten out of WWE.
I don't think Hit Row gets broken up either. I don't think Hit Row gets broken up if Triple H was in control either, because they were badass in NXT, and then they get moved up to SmackDown, which everybody's like, "Oh shit, Hit Row's going to SmackDown," and then literally within 2 weeks, like the whole damn group was gone. Right. They never even got to do anything. And like now you look, and Swerve and Keith Lee are tag champs over there. I mean, the Hitmakers are doing their thing out on the indies. Like I said, I mean, I've always been
there's no way Gargano would be in the position he's in right now. He wouldn't have taken time away.
Now, that's another funny one too, because I've heard that Shawn Michaels has reached out to him. So, like I said,
why wouldn't you though? I mean, he's arguably one of the best wrestlers in the world. I mean, why wouldn't you want to have that guy on your brand? There's no way that guy. No way. If you're asking me if I got the money and deep enough pockets, there's no way I'm letting Gargano go anywhere other than WWE.
Can't fight it, dude. And I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who we'll see come back, where they'll come back to, and what things look like. Because, like I said, I mean, with them pushing Ciampa, I think Riddle will be a world champion soon. Yeah. I think there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to see changed. Like I said, though, another good show in the books. Make sure you stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button, all the buttons, share buttons, comment buttons, all those buttons, because we got some news with the homies from Circle 6 coming soon to you. So if you're in the Detroit area and going to be going to Circle 6 at the Gym Handy September 9th, stay tuned. Like I said, get your tickets here. That being said, make sure you check us out every Tuesday and Thursday. Like I said, not sure who we're going to have with us this Thursday, but I definitely have got some big things coming your way. Hey, I'm not mad at that at all. I'd like to see Bray Wyatt return, but I would like to see The Fiend get a real run as well. Joey just dropped the pipe bomb on us, and I mean, that's as good a way as any to end the show. Drop the pipe bomb and leave. And that being said, again, shout out to our sponsors, G3 Payroll Tax. Get your taxes together. I know some of you motherfuckers are still sending stuff to the tax people. So if you haven't already done so, like I said, make sure you check out the homies, G3 Payroll. Hey, I appreciate you all checking us out, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, all those things. Hey, we've got MVP and Mike Perry fighting soon. You got Usman and Leon Edwards. I heard a Wild McKinnell sighting. There's going to be a lot of other things. So, like I said, make sure you hit that subscribe button.
Cheeto fight. We're going to talk more about that one Thursday, but I'm super excited for that main event this weekend. Honestly, that one's got my that's got the tingles going. I'm excited for that one.
Get the tingles. Make sure you're watching Knockouts and 3 Counts. We'll give you all the feels. Peace.
Bye.